in a school, a mainstream school, an inclusive school. And the difference between an inclusive school and a special school is simply that individual who is living with disability or special needs can thrive in an environment where every other child, so everyone, there's no discrimination. Whether you're living with disability or not, we all can learn in the same environment. And not only can we learn, there are ways that we need to, for example, a child who is living with hearing impairment, or a child who is living with physical impairment or autism or Down syndrome, whatever that child needs to thrive in that learning environment must be provided for that child. So inclusive education means, one, the door is open to everyone. Two, all that you need to thrive, whatever it is, your physical needs, your emotional needs, academic needs, access to the curriculum, everything you need to thrive and to do well in that setting is also provided for you. So you're not just coming in as a stranger, you're coming as a part of that school or that environment, and you get all that you need. Quality and accessible education will be made available to you.
All right, thank you so much. Now, what's the difference between an inclusive education and a special education?
It's English. So special education means that there's an education that requires special.
Thank you so much. Now, what's the difference between an inclusive education and a special education?
It's English. So special education means that there's an education that requires special learned in school. If a child needs a ramp, a child needs a wheelchair, that means the access to that education, the child needs those tools. So it could be physical tools, it could be braille, whatever that individual living with special needs needs to be able to access education is what special education. That something is needed for that person to access education. Now, inclusive education means it's just the environment. This person is learning with every other person, but everything he needs, the ramp, the sign language interpreter, the scribe, the whatever it is that will make that person learn, will be brought into that setting, which is called inclusive setting. So everybody learns. You're not segregating. Everybody learns in the same environment. Just that your education you're getting is special because you need extra. Probably you need a wheelchair, you need a tape recorder, you need sign language interpreter, you need a scribe, you need so all that you need will be brought to you in that inclusive setting, as opposed to being segregated in a different setting to get your special education requirements.
All right, we'll focus more on this as the program progresses. Well, if you're just joining us, the topic is inclusive education intervention for learners with disabilities, and we have in the studio Mrs. Lola, Aneke, an inclusive education expert. In case you might want to ask a question or contribute to the program, the number for you to call is 0807 622 6771. I take that number again. It's 0807 622 6771. Now, for better clarification, is inclusive education for a selected group of learners or for anybody?
Funny enough, a lot of people think that inclusive education is just for individuals with special needs or disability, but research has shown that everybody benefits. Every learner benefits. Now, when you're talking about inclusive education, there are several factors you need to consider. There's access to the curriculum, there's access to the building, there are several things. There's something we call universal design for learning. And what does that mean? It means that there's multiple means of presentation. That's the lecture itself, or the presentation of the lesson itself. There should be multiple means of presenting it. So a child who is not able to read, for example, should be able to read to that child, so that a child who is not able to write can be given another way of writing. So your way of presenting as a teacher must be multiple. You must understand that every child learns differently. We have different kind of learner, kinesthetic learner, visual learner, auditory learners. So you have to consider those kids in your classroom. So multiple means of presentation, multiple means of engagement, the way you engage them in your lesson, what your activity will be like, and then the way they will also express what they know. So those are some of the things you need to consider when you're talking about inclusive education.
Okay.
You have to consider accommodation also.
Okay, sorry to cut you short. We actually have a call. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and location?
My name is Aneke Precious.
Okay, Precious, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Amidst.
Okay, Precious, go ahead and make your point or ask your questions quickly. Hello? Oh, do call us back. The number is 0807 6226771. I would have really loved Precious to ask a question. Probably, she's facing, this particular kind of situation and, we want to get clarified. Yes, please do call us back, Precious. Now, we are talking about accommodation.
Okay. So accommodation is not like a house. No, it means that you're going to accommodate the person. So, for example, if someone in your class needs a particular chair to be able to sit down, you will have to ensure that chair is available. So a person with a wheelchair in your classroom, you would not have to insist that because the way you arrange your class, you have to sit on a regular chair, and that person, because that's how the class is meant to be arranged, you have to tweak things to meet the child's needs. So that's what accommodation is.
Okay, now are we ready? Talking about Nigeria, this country. Hello, good evening.
Chair, and that person, because that's how the class is meant to be arranged, you have to tweak things to meet the child's needs. So that's what accommodation is.
Okay, now are we ready? Talking about Nigeria, this country. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good
More
evening.
times, when you analyze you professionals, it looks like you're just concentrating on people privileged few in the cities. Have you taken cognizance of the less privileged people in our villages, rural area? Can you work on that, please? Okay. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. She's quite enthusiastic about,
yes,
persons with disabilities now in the grassroots. Of course, during the program, we usually delve in because they are part of everything we are focusing on, of course, in the inclusiveness. Now, I was asking earlier, is Nigeria ready? Is this country ready? And of course, is Africa ready for an inclusive education?
So, like I was saying to you, inclusive education has different parts and there are different roles to be played. Okay. Most importantly, knowledge is very key when we're talking about inclusive education. So when you're talking about inclusive education, you're talking about the preparatory stage. Like I was saying to you, teachers training, what they need to know, the buildings. We have ramps for individuals that need wheelchair. Do we have people who are trained for sign language? Enough people for sign language to interpret sign language in the school. So there's a preparatory stage. Are the children aware that other individuals not like them? Are parents aware, or are they willing to ensure that there's no discrimination? Is the staff of the school aware? So that's the first part.
Hello.
Now, hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Glad to have you on the program, sir. What's your name and location?
My name is Lola Ademola. I'm calling from Abeokuta.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me commend the Abino Foundation for this wonderful job. And let me welcome our guests in the studio.
Thank you, sir.
But Ma, I want to ask you the question. In the area of teachers, are we ready? Are we taking the right steps as getting teachers for inclusive education? I know that there are institutions that teach teacher for special education, but in totality, do we have enough teachers to handle inclusive education? In the area of facilities, are we ready to take care of inclusive education? Thank you so much.
Yes, that's the question she was definitely
So I was about answering that question, and that's what led me to the basis of inclusive education. There's a preparatory stage. So I want to explain that we all have to ask ourselves, are we really ready? Are we trained? Do we understand the use of universal design for learning? Do we understand accommodation and modification? Do we understand multiple intelligence? Do we understand...
Are those part of the preparatory stage?
Of course, teachers... Are we really ready? Are we trained? Do we understand the use of universal design for learning? Do we understand accommodation and modification? Do we understand multiple intelligence? Do we understand...
Are those part of the preparatory stage?
Of course, teachers... Are we really ready? Are we trained? Do we understand the use of universal design for learning? Do we understand accommodation and modification? Do we understand multiple intelligence? Do we understand...
Are those part of the preparatory stage?
Of course, teachers train lesson, multiple ways of engaging the children, multiple ways of them expressing what they know, giving them extended time, giving them opportunity to do the things they know how to do best, even modifying. There's some kids that their intellectual capability cannot take all that the curriculum has said they should. Are we willing to modify? Are we willing to give them extended time? Are we willing to... There's a saying that if you put a fish in on the land, it will struggle. But if you put the fish in the sea, it will
naturally
flow. So those are some of the things we need to consider. So that's the first part. Are we ready? Are these things being done? Do we have enough professionals that will be able to teach this to regular classroom teachers? Because
well, sorry to start.
We have. Look, we cannot in every classroom. I tell you, particularly children with unseen disabilities, like learning disability, like dyslexia, described as dyscalculia. They say they're not serious, they're lazy. We have at least one child in every classroom with this, and that's an aspect of disability. So the first thing is we need to tell ourselves that there's a child with disability in every classroom. So if you're saying every class, that means do we have one child representing somebody, at least one in every class? So we cannot deny that we have children with disability amongst us. The question now is, how ready are we to educate them? How ready are we to accommodate them? How ready are we to willing to be trained? So that because like I said earlier on, inclusive education is not just beneficial to only children with disability, also children without disability. Imagine if I'm a kind of person that learn by kinesthetic way. I like to move around, and you say all of you must sit down and answer this question. So I was saying to you that if you put a fish on the land and put an elephant in front of a tree and say climb, it will not climb. It will not be able to do well, because that's not its natural habitat. Okay. Do you understand? So we're understanding what is to be done, and then when we begin to do that, we need to, that's implementation stage. Once we now know, okay, I have to accommodate the child, I have to provide multiple means of representation, I have to provide ways for the child to be able to enter my class, I have to move things around to accommodate that child. You now check yourself, how am I doing? Assess yourself, because the ultimate goal is to ensure that every child have access to quality education.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Lola Aneke, who is an inclusive education expert. If you're just joining us, 17 minutes gone past the hour of 7 o'clock, right here on the network service of Radio Nigeria. We'll come back shortly after this break. Stay with us.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation. Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Disability Inclusion Campaign envision an inclusive society for all. Persons with disability must be mainstreamed in all spheres of our society. I am Jake Epele, Chief Executive Officer and Founder, the Albino Foundation, and I approve this message. This is Disability Inclusion, powered by European Union and the Albino Foundation.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
All right, welcome back to the program Disability Inclusion, coming to you live from the network service of Radio Nigeria. The number for you to call is 0807 622 6771, 0807 622 6770. So far, we've had Lola Aneke in the house, and so far she said a lot. All right, you can start making that call, because once it's a few minutes to the time, we might not take your call, so it's important for you to start calling now. And we were talking earlier before we went on that break. Okay, we have a caller already. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. All right, you were mentioning, the stages, how prepared we are now as a country, and of course in Africa here, how prepared we are for inclusive education and things we needed to do, including the government and other stakeholders. I'm sure there are some organizations like yours that actually, this is an area where they specialize in. Now the question is affordability for some people. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, my sister.
Good evening. What's your name and location? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my name is Ovumna Dikla. I'm calling from Amidst.
All right.
First of all, I call in to commend the Albino Foundation for their wonderful job. But I think people with disability needed to be taken care of seriously in terms of education, because nobody knows what will happen to him or herself tomorrow. Because people with disability, not majority of them were inborn. So you can get accident tomorrow, then I'm calling on the Ministry of Education to make sure that these people with a disability, we are giving either free education, because it will help a lot. They will feel belonging. They will not even remember that their disability is such an opportunity we are giving to them. So doctrine. With a disability, we are giving either free education, because it will help a lot. They will feel belonging. They will not even remember that their disability is such an opportunity we are giving to them. children with a disability. We are giving either free education because it will help a lot. They will feel belonging. They will not even remember that they are disability. It's just an opportunity we are giving to them. Children with a disability. We are giving either free education because it will help a lot. They will feel belonging. They will not even remember that they are disability. It's just an opportunity we are giving to them. Children.
Thank God for what Abino Foundation is doing. Awareness is very important. There are a lot of things to be done, but first and foremost, ability to understand and know what is going on.
Hello.
Then you do
Sorry, hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Yes, good evening. What's your name and location?
My name is Aneke Chuku.
Okay, Honey BK, how old are you?
I'm fine. How are you too?
I know you're fine. How old are you?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, maybe she doesn't want to. I know he's definitely a child. Okay, go ahead and ask your question. Or what do you have for us? Alright, it would have been nice to have, a learner now, someone in either the secondary school or primary school education system to actually pose a question regarding this issue. Hello, are you still there?
I want to ask you your last subject. What is opera?
Okay, we are actually very pleased. Can we just yank this call? Let's yank the call, please. We're actually very serious about the topic for today because we are talking about inclusive education. I know there's been an ongoing, quite unstable feud between external examination bodies now and the government. It's gradually coming to an end, and you can't deprive these people of quality education. That is why we are here to talk about this topic. Now, what's the role of the Federal Ministry of Education and your organization now in terms of advocacy and implementation of inclusive education?
So, like I said earlier on, advocacy, first of all, awareness is important. Advocacy means what is the right thing to do and how do we get it.
And your organization now in terms of advocacy and implementation of inclusive education?
So, like I said earlier on, advocacy, first of all, awareness is important. Advocacy means what is the right thing to do and how do we get it up. So, ability to understand what is going on at this time and what can we do. Keep training, and you just keep training. Now, for what is going on right now, everyone has get towards online learning. Okay, and then that's the issue. We're thinking COVID, is it safe for us to go out there for the kids to go back to school? We're thinking what is the best medium, and everybody is now online. Everybody has gone to remote learning and this remote learning. But when we think of individuals with disability, we also have to check, like all I said earlier on about accommodation and universal design for learning. You still have to implement those. So all of those things in online learning.
Okay, well, sorry for those now in the rural areas. I mean, that are not in the federal capital territory, that might not have access, to the new technology. How do we tackle this?
And that's
challenge?
a major issue. That's been the issue. But I remember we had the conference we had the last 2 days with the Abino Foundation. An idea came up whereby, like when you talk about education in developed countries, education sector does not stand alone. Okay. You have others, so you have health working because disability has to do with health too. So you have the health sector working together with educational sector. We have transport. Different sector come together. So I bought into the idea that was disability has to do with health too. So you have the health sector working together with educational sector. We have transport. Different sector come together. So I bought into the idea that was shared. These are numbers of people we have. How many teachers do we need to equip, to train, to go there? Now, issue of financing will come up. That's where we need Ministry of Transportation to be there. So I bought into the idea that was shared. These are the numbers of people we have. How many teachers do we need to equip, to train, to go there? Now, issue of financing will come up. That's where we need Ministry of Transportation to be able to work them. So that's another idea. Physical classes, but make sure you have precautions in place so that we don't keep spreading the virus.
In other words, the bane of development now for any nation is education. So all hands must be on deck to make sure that each citizen, regardless of your status or anything, is educated. And that is what we are talking about, inclusive education. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. So just that's the basic rights now, the fundamental right of every child, access to quality education. Well, if you're just joining us, the program is still Disability Inclusion, coming to you live from the network service of Radio Nigeria. We have less than 5 minutes to actually leave the studio, and the topic is inclusive education intervention for learners with disability amidst COVID-19. Hello, good evening. We have a caller. Hello, good evening. All right, do call us back. The number is 0807 622 6771. 0807 622 6771. That's the number for you to call. And we still have Mrs. Lola Aneke, an inclusive education expert in the house. Hello, good evening. Good evening. All right, now moving on. What's the role of parents, caregivers, or guardians? What's their role? What role can they play now in terms of inclusive education from the house?
Okay, so they need to be aware of what's going on. They need to overcome the issue of stigmatization.
Okay, sorry. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. No.
Yes, what's your name and location? Please, quickly, we have limited time.
My name is Chief Okagbase.
All right, go ahead, make your
of stigmatization.
Okay, sorry. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. No.
Yes, what's your name and location? Please, quickly, we have limited time.
My name is Chief Okagbase.
All right, go ahead, make your questions, and of course, we want you to get carried along as well. So you were talking about the role of
so
parents.
They need to know what they want. They need to be all hands will be on deck. They need to be prepared to also be a part of it. For example, even this issue of online classes going on, for example, you still need the parents to buy in. So they need to understand that I have a part to play in the field of telepractice. We call them facilitators. So they are the ones, because the teachers cannot be fully present on ground. They are the ones that need to tell them, say, look, I can do this. All I need is knowledge. What do I? So having knowledge of what to do, being ready, accepting that they have a role to play, and be ready to put all hands on deck to be able to support their child. And of course, they need to also have the mindset of growth, as opposed to this fixed mindset that this child cannot learn, this child cannot be anything. They have to keep learning, keep telling themselves that it is possible, it is doable. I have a role to play. I'm more than happy to be a part of my child's learning. Whatever support I can be of, I need to advocate for my child, and I also need to create awareness. And they should go beyond being just soaking in them, whatever the effect of stigmatization is, and just look beyond that and take a step forward to help their child.
And that's definitely that mindset. All right, thank you so much, Lola and Aneke. And of course, we apologize if we were unable to take your call, and this is where we call it a wrap on this edition of Disability Inclusion, which came to you live from the network service of Radio Nigeria. For more information on the activities of the Albino Foundation, visit our website at www.albinofoundation.org, or you can send a message to 0703 110 3773 or 0701 977 3352. And thank you so much to all our callers, and of course our guests once more. I keep thanking her, and of course the engineers on duty, and of course the studio manager. Do note that this program is powered by the European Union in collaboration with the Albino Foundation. So much appreciation also goes to the producer Victor Onoli. My name is